Hello, friends, and welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we talk a little bit about healing, and then we do a little healing, and then we talk a little bit more. Today, where am I? What town are we in?
Lenoxdale.
I am in Lenoxdale, Massachusetts, with my friend Delia, and it's good to see you, Delia.
Good to see you, too.
And we are in this beautiful old house. What? Do you know how old this house is?
Oh, gosh. Good question. Old, I don't know.
It is the age of old, I don't know. And it's amazing. I love it in here. So this is the setting for today's episode. And Delia's with me. I'm excited. We're going to talk about what pregnancy and birth and bringing life into the world. And her experience with it. I'm really excited about it. And to start off, I want to do some check-ins, as per usual. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to do a check-in first, and then we'll hand it over to you for a check-in, and then we'll shoot off into wherever we go.
Cool.
Okay, so it's nice to be... I'm feeling how nice it is to be in a place I've never been before. That feels exciting to me. Especially the energy of this house is really nice, so that's fun. It's been a while since I've been able to record a podcast, so I'm actually not feeling as nervous as I thought I would, but I'm feeling like a little hyper, a little uppity. In a fun way. And I'm really looking forward to talking with you, Delia. It's just another person in my life that I just find myself into really beautiful conversations with. So I'm looking forward to delving into that. And let's see, what else is there? I'm a little tired. I have a little bit of a fog from COVID still. That I had it was like a week ago. I think it stopped almost. And there's some other like tension in my life that's in my body that I'm feeling, and so that is in my system as well. That is slightly uncomfortable. And that is my check-in. And I'm curious how you're doing right now in this moment.
Well, I'm feeling really... First, I would say that I feel a tension and a fluttering and this middle line between nervousness and excitement viscerally in my body. And that feels really good to speak to that. And I'm feeling really excited to speak about motherhood. Because it's so beautiful. And it has been such an incredible initiatory force in my life, and I feel really grateful to be able to do this with you. I also find myself in amazing, beautiful conversations with you and feel really comfortable with you, and it feels like a big gift. So let's see. I feel some parts of myself really wanting to be able to share wholly, and some apprehension around that. I think that's the right word. And I feel another of trust that just kind of settled in. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah, and also really beautiful. We are in a home of a midwife that is a midwife of like 40 plus years. So
that's cool.
Is really awesome as well.
It's funny you mentioned that before, and I didn't click until now that how appropriate it is for our conversation.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's so great.
I know.
Something is coming up for me. We talked about this. You can probably hear it, this fire alarm that keeps beeping. And before we started, I was like, it's not going to bother me. And now that we're recording, I'm like, I need to turn this thing off.
Okay.
So I got to find it and turn it off.
Okay.
I will be back.
Okay.
I'm back and I'm a little out of breath because I'm going to blame COVID and my age. No, I can't really blame my age. That's unfair to age. I can blame the fact that I'm not in shape.
You know, I love your honesty. That's like...
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. So, we were just landing in a place of trust.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. Yeah, so good.
Let us... Ooh, this is my question. This is what I wanted to know about your check-in. You said that there was... Did you say tightness or tension? I'm curious about that.
Well, it's starting to dissolve, which is awesome. It does feel like it morphed a little bit. Does it need a voice? I guess is the question. No, I don't think so. It feels like I feel a readiness to just like be with it. Yeah, it's, which is really cool because it feels different. And in past moments, being recorded has been really hard for me, and I feel much more able to hold that sensation and continue to talk. It feels like I think it's gonna dissolve as we get in, you
cool.
know. Yeah.
All right.
And if it doesn't, I'll let you know.
Great.
Yeah.
And we'll be with it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about motherhood. Let's talk about the process of... I want to know what the experience was for you when you first realized that you were creating a baby inside of you.
Well, I was at the time living in a tiny home, and I was waking up in the morning, and it was before I had opened my eyes, and I felt this really beautiful energy in my field, and it just felt like, wow, that is amazing. What is that?
Obviously an energy you've never felt before.
Well,
or had you?
I had, and that was the cool moment. It was like I then had the memory of when I had conceived, and it was really like, you're pregnant. And then my denial kicked in. And I was like, nah, no, you're not. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're just like having a really delicious morning of this experience, and this is something that's new. And then
when you said, when you conceived, was it like the morning after, or was it like the moment?
It was the actual lovemaking.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so beautiful, and yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you open to saying what it, not what the lovemaking felt like, but what, like, oh, I just, like, I'm somewhat arrived in my body in that moment?
Well, in the moment, I didn't know that I had, like, allowed a soul in. I actually, it's really cool. There was actually a moment that my brain was like, I'm not allowing a soul in.
Huh.
And, but as my journey progressed, it really showed me, like a destiny kind of swirling in to, our readiness that our minds don't have any clue about, that my mind had no clue about. And also, one of the things that was different for me around this experience was that I have had terminations before, abortions, and I still really stand by those choices. And this experience was different in that it really felt like the readiness was actually in my system. And even though there was fear of all of the unknowns, the readiness was so clear in that the next day, so fast forward to your first question, the next day I had the exact same experience where I was like sitting in this energy and I was like, okay. And then I asked my higher power, am I pregnant? And it was so clear. And then I had this extreme sense of peace in my system, which I had never experienced before. And that moment was my anchor during my pregnancy, because my pregnancy was actually really tough. It was my anchor of, this is the right move. This is the right move. And, yeah. And when it was like, I had that moment of peace. And then the next thing that happened was, wow, this is the soul I get to journey with. I'm so down.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What did, was there anything else about this particular soul that you felt besides the peace that made you feel that way, that, oh, wow, this is the soul I get to journey with? That's so cool.
It was so much love. There was so much love and so much pleasure. The sensation of it was all of that. And I think that there's like a part of my system that was like, just like, okay, this is, and what I'm getting right now is I've had another experience where it felt so discordant. Is that the right word? Like so off. Like this when I was pregnant before. There was this just innate feeling of offness. And you know, I have theories of why. But it just felt right, and that feeling of just like so much love and pleasure and groundedness and okayness and peace. That's all I can contact right now.
Great. What was difficult about your pregnancy?
Okay. Well, I had morning sickness all day and all night.
All the time.
For 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. And yeah, just that there was such a deep level of surrender to not being able to do. And having to learn to really give myself what I needed when I needed it. Because if I didn't, it was gonna make my life even harder. As in, like, first thing I needed to do in the morning, like at 5 o'clock in the morning, was get food in my system, and I was exhausted and sort of felt like malnourished. There was like this feeling of like extreme hunger all the time, never really feeling like I could fully satiate that. And then like complete exhaustion, so it was like really hard to even get up out of bed to then give myself what I needed. And a lot of the times when I did, even then I would still throw it up. You know? So it was like and just getting ahead of the things, and then also understanding like what kinds of foods would actually help me, because that's a big part of it too, is like the nourishment for my own system, because I'm being essentially leached, right, of my our nutrients. That's what happens. Yeah, that was really difficult. I think the place of not being able to like do, and what I'm hearing too is like around this society and how our worthiness is built around our doing, and this idea that like I wasn't doing anything even though I was absolutely doing something, you know, and that consciousness was so alive and challenging to meet every moment, you know.
You said that you needed to give yourself what you needed in this process. Aside from the doing thing, that was there a challenge, or a built-in challenge to giving yourself what you needed? Like, is that something that you have had a hard time with in general?
Yeah. I yeah, asking for my needs, asking for support. That's a big one. Believing that I would have support was another one. Those were all kind of meshed in together. Asking for support from my partner and not feeling like a complete burden. That was actually, yeah, it's just like, yeah, that's like an underlying kind of lineage thing that I'm massaging out. And the feeling like a burden is a big part of that, and then that propensity to want to do to then not be the burden, you know. And then having to really surrender into receiving support.
In what ways did this affect the relationship with your partner?
Well, I would say that, I mean, it definitely affected our relationship and brought us together in deeper ways. You know, as the question, or the first question that you asked around like what was so hard about your pregnancy, is like that was what I shared was one pretty big part, but it was so nuanced within our relationship, what it brought up around this, like, I'm bringing a new being into this world. I'm its soul guardian, essentially.
Hold on, that's cool.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. I just want to remember that. It's cool.
And I had to, and my partner Oz was caring for me, right, on a lot of levels. And so it brought up all these places in our relationship that were not ideal, or ideal, and not the environment that you want to bring a new life into. And not to say that our relationship has ever been terrible, because it's actually, we are both working our ancestry in cellularly real deep. And this was such a beautiful gift for us to see deeper things that were happening. And it brought us closer. It brought us to deeper honesty with ourselves and clarity also, which was so cool. That was one of the coolest things I would say. Is like, there was this, it was almost like a big light was shown in our lives, where little patterns that were happening that were kind of like just underneath the radar were so clear what was happening. And the place in me, which the mother, the one that's like bringing the life in and is really connected to the feminine, the dark feminine, was really pulling our family forward. It was like I was given like a courage torch. And places where it was like, it's not just about me anymore. It's actually about our future generations. It really locked that into my system more, even though that has been a driving force for my work and my life steps. It really showed me all the places where I was like, I could just leave here and I could just give up. It was like, no, you can't. And you actually need to say the thing and be really strong in it, and know that this thing needs to change. And yeah, and we're so much better for it.
So sounds like not only did you rise to the occasion, but he rose to the occasion too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really grateful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How? Oh man, I have this question that's come out, and I'm wanting to phrase it right. The process of the pregnancy, the gestation process. How do you think that helps shift you into actual motherhood when the baby has come into the world? Which you kind of answered partly already with stuff like the courage torch and but is there anything?
Yeah, so there's physiologic aspects of it. The mother's system starts to actually regulate, like our brains start to regulate more into theta states and delta states, which are like people that are big time meditators, they like want to get into delta states. And in the pregnancy, you are so highly sensitive. It's wild. It's like everything. I can smell something across the room. It's like you become the wolf. And it's incredible, and it's so much sensation that I was learning to build my capacity. I was building my capacity to hold more chaos, and to hold myself within it in a good way. And to then be able to navigate within that realm swiftly. And essentially that is so then I can communicate with my child that doesn't have words and only has sensations and tones, vibrational tones, and needs that are that I need to be able to track.
Wow. Is this something that you understood, or is this something that you not only understood but like also was reinforced by others' experience and readings that this is what happens?
I started to get downloads of like why things are the way they are during the pregnancy. And then I did end up taking a course that was epic. I would totally plug it here if I can.
Go for it.
Okay. It's the Physiologic Baby Care course, and it's by Innate Traditions. And I can give you the website. Because it's really epic, and it's like something I want to scream on top of mountaintops for people. It's like that good. And then there was a lot of confirmation and direct, like, your brain is in a theta state here, and your brain is in a delta state here, and
will
kind of
you say what theta state and delta state are?
I actually don't know how to explain it in like my experience of a theta state.
Cool.
Is being able to being connected to things that are happening without even how do I explain it? It's like intuition, but on like this really it's like the energy of it is, it's difficult for me to grab words and numbers and like organizational things, but it's easy for me to know that my daughter just put something in her mouth in the other room. Like there's a communication that's happening that's
gotcha.
less direct.
It's
but extremely direct.
A hypersensitive communication.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's definitely other ways of describing it, but it's like, yeah. I mean, I remember the first time that my back was turned and Lotus was behind me. That's my daughter. And I just had this sense like something is in her mouth that cannot be in there. Like, it needs to get out now. It was just like I knew. And I turned around and stuck my finger in her mouth, and sure enough, there was like a piece of wood that she totally could have choked on. And I have no idea. Like, that's how I knew, was through the theta state. Yeah, and it's also amazing. I mean, it's incredible. I have like, I'm like, yeah, it's incredible.
You're like, I became Spider-Man.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. I'm like, how is the mother not more revered? Like, what? It's like this. It's really epic. It's epic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I remember. I've always had a hard time like writing bios. And it was so interesting, and it's such a funny kind of like the side shoot of this. But after I'd given birth, I think I must have been like 3 months postpartum. And it was like this sense of like, I am a mother. It just was like, this really short bio came in, but it was like this deep reverence for the mother and like being proud of it. Like there was this like pride in it that what I'm hearing right now is I hope that will permeate our world more in because it is such an incredible place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And job.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. That statement makes me feel like it's a beautiful time for us to shift into your session.
Cool.
And it just feels like a nice summary of what we've talked about so far. That sentence, that statement that you just made. Like, it's just beautiful. And I feel the power in it. And that makes me want to do some energy work on you.
Awesome.
Be like, yeah, you have this amazing job, and you're and like what I've witnessed from you in it, you're totally in tune with it. You're totally respectful of the duty of it, and so have so much love for it and for your daughter. You deserve some energy healing.
Awesome.
And much more.
Thank you.
By the way.
Thank you. The one thing I would add to that, and I want to be fully honest too, is that the collective consciousness around motherhood is so jaded that I am still doing work daily to remember how important my job is. And that the times that I have moments where I'm like, what else am I here to do? And being really like real with like remembering what I'm here doing. And that will birth into other things at other times whenever that is a true thing. But that like unworthiness is something I'd like to set as an intention in this session with this energy work, because I know that's where we're going next. Because that is such a thing that is alive here, and that even though I have had all these downloads and am totally committed and have these awarenesses and feel like yes to motherhood, there is also the other parts that are happening too.
Definitely. Thank you for saying that. That is true. And also, even however in tune you are, and however like up for the duty and the job, it's impossible to be perfect.
Totally.
And that's also something that you have to work through. I imagine I have never been a parent. But I know that as a child, I've had parents, and there's always going to be something.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
Would you like to add any other intentions to the session?
The places where I still feel like I'm a burden, and that I put myself behind my husband and my child on some levels. Like there's still some like unworthiness within that that is linked to this being a burden thing. And even there's like a link to being a burden by being courageous, like being a burden on other people by being courageous and being the gatekeeper of my child and like children I'm like I'm asking for guidance and support around clarity and grace and courage to like have a baby in me.
May this intention get met, because I want to know what that baby is like.
I know.
I want to know.
Yeah. Seriously. You know? Yeah, it's yeah. I could keep going. Okay.
Yeah. I just remember something that I wanted to state, and I want to say it now before we go in. Thank you for those intentions. I love them. And the thing is that I remembered what you said earlier. You said, I'm the sole guardian of my baby. And when you said it, I wasn't sure if you meant SOLE or SOUL. And that's what I was like, that's cool.
Oh.
Because it kind of like, yes, your husband's there too, and he is a guardian, but like during the pregnancy, you're like the main guardian. So in a way, you're the sole guardian, SOLE, but you're also a guardian of a soul, SOUL. So I just thought that was really cool.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah. So are you ready for your taking that into your session? Are you ready for your session then?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do it. We will be right back after Delia's 13th octave Lahu Chi session. And we are back from Delia's energy healing session, and what's going on? I don't know what to ask here. How was it for you?
One of the threads within it was me allowing myself to receive support. And that, and then some feelings of resistance and fear, but not super palpable. I was like, I could feel parts of my system being like, is this okay? And and I could feel myself being very aware. Like I was very much like, I was kind of in my mind a lot, and having to kind of soften some of those parts a bit throughout, and some aspects of some parts of myself being like, am I doing it right? Is this right? Am I doing it right? Is this happening right? Which is something that parts of myself that I work with, normally. And it was also really beautiful, and I was seeing a lot of color. I was seeing like purple and green mostly, and that felt really reassuring. Like I was like, okay, there's a lot of heart energy here, so that felt really good. And I also felt some guidance around, like at one point, I felt some guidance to move my hands that were holding the crystals onto my belly. And at one point I did notice that my scar from because I ended up needing a cesarean, a C-section, and a part of my scar kind of felt like a needle, like there was like a needle going through a part of it, like a pinch or something, and it felt like I was experiencing a lot of different like support around body stuff, and healing around that. Like at one point my knees, which have been like, these are all kind of things that are linked to some of the things that have been, my knees kind of took a big hit during the pregnancy just because of weight and all these other things, and towards the end it felt really, there was a piece that dropped in that was very much along the lines of, like, I almost don't want to like say it directly because I kind of want to keep,
that's fine,
but it felt like there was a piece that was given to me to choose a new way of being in relationship with life.
Cool.
Not direct at all.
It was. I assume it was more direct. What you received.
Was more direct. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. That's beautiful. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. I'm curious about your experience.
Yeah, you asked me that right before when we were making tea, and I had said then that it was actually kind of challenging for me this time around, and it's mostly because of two things, and there are two things that I mentioned in my check-in that were making it challenging for me. One was I found it really hard to hold the energy coming through me because of how tired I still am after having COVID and how cloudy my head is. And it was like, I was really in the experience of, I had to like really focus on breathing deeply and being able to like really hold it. Cause it's really strong energy that comes through. And I already get lightheaded even when I'm in like tip top shape, I get lightheaded when the energy comes through. So I'm already lightheaded and the energy coming in. I was like, whoa, okay, this is a lot.
Yeah.
So that made it challenging. And I think because of that, and because I was like not on my A game energy wise, I found myself at times trailing off into the tension that's going on in my life and thinking about that. So I was like, okay. And I would try come back, and then I noticed that I was gone again. I'm like, oh my God, and come back. And yeah, so that was my experience.
Yeah.
This time around.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's interesting that, yeah, I was having a similar experience too, where I would like trail off. Like, this is really funny. The green would then remind me of a rug I just bought that I actually want to return. I'm like, it's exactly the same green. Should I keep it? And then I was like, no. Definitely not. Yeah. So it's interesting that we were both kind of doing that.
So good. I love that you saw colors, because color healing is one of the things that happens with Lao Chi, but not everybody experiences the color healing. So I love that you experienced it and you got to get some color healing. I don't necessarily, I don't have any knowledge of what color is doing what, or if there even is like a certain aspect of colors that causes some sort of kind of healing. So I don't know about purple and green, but whatever the colors are doing for you, they're there for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
Even if it is just to urge you to keep a rug.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, that's hysterical. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah. And I also, some other pieces, I had, it does feel good to share this. One of the things I was kind of also getting hits from our first part of the session and the things that we shared. And one of the pieces was that I got was that Lotus, my daughter, and her soul, the amount of love that she is, and the love that is in these souls that come in, and the beauty of family, is that and evolution. It's like there's this beautiful symbiotic relationship that happens when the soul comes in and essentially like breaks your heart open into more love, and that begins like the moment the soul drops in, and it starts to initiate the family, the mother and the father, into being able to see the patterns that are not serving them anymore. And it's like it's the mother who's like bringing them through, but it's like, in order for me to actually hold her vibration when she was in my body and when she came out, and now currently, it was like she was preparing me to be able to actually hold her, so then she can continue to initiate us. If that makes sense. And it's the love that opens us. And I felt that deeply in this experience, and then also in when I lost my father, when he passed away. There was a huge heartbreak, and it was similar and different, but it's it's like death and birth. It's like they're such similar things, and when I had got the download that I wanted to become a mother, and that it was actually a part of my soul's path, the download that I had was that family is the working grounds for right relationship in relationship. Learning how to be in relationship in love, and to grow in that way. And I just wanted to kind of bring that full circle and more clarity around that question that you asked, like, how did it impact you and your partner, and how did it shape us or transform us, and I think I said it.
What? Uh, it feels like to me.
Hmm.
It feels like family is the opportunity to. It's the best opportunity you have to do that, to get in right relationship with relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Because it doesn't happen every time.
Right. No, and I think that's a part of the evolutionary process when, oh gosh, okay, this is what I'm getting right now. It's like when I was able to rest into receiving support from my partner, it allowed me to really open to receiving the mother archetype, and within that there's codes. And it's a journey, and that ability to actually rest in that and receive that fully, and of course, as evolution, we're continuously evolving as species. The download's more clear, essentially, when you get to do that. And I did. And I got to do that. I got to do that, and I'm continuously able to do that, and I'm continuously receiving downloads on better ways to more supportive ways to support this being, so that she can be who she is supposed to be, and not have to deal with as much intergenerational trauma that we have, and there's a slowness and a space of deep listening and responding to that listening that's necessary in order for us to get these downloads, and then to have the spaciousness in the family to bring them to the table, and for it to be chewed on and bump up against the things that it's tight, it bumps up against inside of us, and continue to practice. And what I'm hearing right now too is like this, the beauty of the child is this ability to forgive. And when when we're learning as parents to support this being and we mess up, we say we're sorry, and we recognize we make repair. Yeah. And that, I think, is that's been a huge piece around this rearing. It's like, it's not about being perfect. It's about listening, implementing as much as possible, and then when we mess up, we make repair.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's like, it's great to me. It's a beautiful example of, hey, new soul that is now new, the little soul that's now new on this earth. You come to a place that isn't perfect, but here is a way to that we can heal we can quote unquote heal the imperfection by repairing. And say it's okay to be imperfect, because we are. And this is how we handle the imperfection.
Right.
Oh God, it's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, yeah. Yeah, and I honestly think that so much of it has to do with the actual spaciousness to be able to do that. Like, if I had another job, right?
Right.
That I had to go to 40 hours a week, it would be really difficult for me to have the spaciousness to get the downloads and then implement them, and the spaciousness to be gentle with myself enough to implement them, and the slowness needed in order to implement it. And granted, I'm sure there are mothers with more capacity than myself, that are able to. I would probably imagine they have more than one child, and they've grown their capacity as they've, or they've grown it in other ways. I don't know all of the things, but yeah, and I think that that's what I've gotten from it, is this understanding of caring for the mother, because the mother is actually like, the child comes through the mother. If we don't have healthy mothers, we don't have healthy children. If we don't have supported mothers, we don't have supported children. And then
it's like, it's a big cycle. If the person who is the mother is in a relationship, if their partner isn't healthy to support the mother to be healthy,
that's absolutely
it just
right.
keeps going.
Absolutely right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
When you said something just now about, a little bit ago, about her, meaning the child, having less, it might even be, I think you were talking specifically about your family unit, and Lotus's having the opportunity for Lotus to deal with less generational trauma. Is that because of the work that you've done to heal the generational trauma in your family? Is that what you were referencing? Or like real time healing it as it's happening and being like,
both. Yeah, both. But a lot of it is real time. Because it's like, I have more capacity to see what I've been working on my system and my own generational trauma, and now I'm in a space of being able to like see how it comes out in the world and in relationship, and I have capacity to be like, oh, I just said that thing, and that's actually like a habitual thing that's not where I want to be going, and so then I can adjust, make repair, or just like make repair by being like, that's not what I actually mean. This is what I actually wanted to say. Yeah.
What does repair look like when, how old is Lotus?
She'll be 10 months next week.
10 months. What does repair look like with a baby like that? Not even a year old.
You'd be surprised how brilliant they are and how attuned they are. It looks like saying I'm sorry. It looks like saying like, I'm sorry I just did that thing. Like, I'm sorry I wasn't paying attention to you. Or like, let's see here, what's yeah, if she's trying to get my attention for a need, and I am busy, doing something, and and then I am like sort of checked out because I'm also I'm tired, or I'm like going through an experience of feeling like I need to do something else other than just this thing. And I'm doing something else. I want to say like on my phone. I don't do that often, but sometimes that is a part of my experience. And there's like this thing that happens where then I can feel her heart hit my heart, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And then I'll put my thing down, or I'll stop what I'm doing, and I turn around and I look at her, and I'm like, I'm sorry I was not there for you. What do you need? And then I respond to that need. And it's almost instantaneous, the shift in her system.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's almost, it feels like an act of co-regulation too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
Does it feel true?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the repair and co-regulation are kind of like
yes,
connected. They're
absolutely
interconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's like when she feels seen and heard, and I'm calm, they're like, her sense is like, oh, I'm allowed to have this experience. And you can feel her being like, oh yeah, that's okay that I had that experience, and great, moving on, doing the thing.
When you say this experience, do you mean like something maybe where she's had an emotional outburst and you're just there with her, and not trying to stop her from doing it, just letting her go through the process of it and being regulated and holding her in it? That kind of experience?
Yeah, like even, she likes to put everything in her mouth right now because that's just what they do. That's the part of how they understand the world. And if she wants to put something in her mouth that she can't put in her mouth, and it's something that's okay for her to play with, I'll sit with her and be like, no, you can't put that in your mouth, and be calm, but you can play with it, and I'll give her another option of how she can engage with it, and she'll continue to try and put it in her mouth, and I'll continue to tell her no, and she'll be like, and I'll be like, I know. It's a little frustrating that you can't put that thing in your mouth, but it's actually not good for you to put in your mouth, and so she's like allowed to have that experience that it's annoying that she but but then she's also like,
I know.
It's like
but you also shouldn't put that thing that's not good for her in her mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So
I know it's annoying.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah, it sucks to like, and it's good for me because I'm practicing how to talk about this too, for when she is able to like move more quickly, want something that is not great for her to have or whatever it is, and I'm learning how to like not gaslight her, because it's like, it's so easy to just be like, no, you can't have that thing because I said so,
Right.
Then to be like, no, you can't have that thing, and I understand that you want it and that it sucks.
Even if I didn't know what you were saying to me, I can feel the difference between just a no and like the energetically, even if I didn't understand the English that's coming out of your mouth, like this is her experience.
Yeah.
She doesn't necessarily know what you're saying, but she can feel no because I said so, as opposed to no, and I know that it sucks that you can't have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Thank you for acknowledging that. That's totally true. Yeah.
Ooh. She's great, by the way.
Yeah.
I like her.
Yeah,
I like Lotus.
She's pretty epic.
She's pretty epic. What? Okay. So you had to have a C-section, and she gets pulled out of your stomach, and you see her for the first time. Tell me about that.
Well, I was, in that moment, I was getting sewn back up.
Wow.
So it was wildly intense, that moment.
Yeah, I almost have to like ground myself. Just feeling, even just you're reminiscing of the experience that little bit, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And, you know, I wanted to do skin to skin right away. And the truth was, in that moment, I was actually working to regulate myself because of everything my body was going through. And also I had been in labor for 7 hours. And so I was in a really deep state already, really connected to my system, and was very aware what was happening. I obviously couldn't feel them, like the pain, you know, that people would call pain, but I could feel my body going through something really intense. And I had to make the decision in that moment to have her go with her father and just trust that was okay. And you know, I was that actually felt like, wow, like a kind of a big deal, like part of the whole thing. I mean, even having a C-section, I would have never thought that was going to be something that I had to go through, and choose on a certain level. And I know I did choose it. And so that was like, there was so many parts of myself that I was having to just like surrender to what actually needed to happen. And that was something that needed to happen. It was like, she was totally safe and was being regulated and with her father, and he was singing to her, and it was beautiful, and she was aware and peaceful, and I was going through a major surgery, so I was like, like, you know, like I would, if I were her, I would have rather been with him because he was actually more regulated than I was, you know. So that was the move. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, you regulate, and you get to hold her for the first time.
Yeah. I don't know if I even have words for that moment. Yeah. It was kind of surreal. There was definitely this like yeah, it felt surreal. It felt like so much had just happened, and then like, you know, we're in a hospital, so there's that. But it just felt kind of like everything just went like and then just like boom, presents. Like
nothing else in the room.
Yeah, it was just like, this is what, okay, you can breastfeed. This is what happens now. And yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great answer.
Thanks.
I love
So
when
good.
you can answer, you know that the words aren't going to do justice to the answer, and you're saying as many words as you can about it, but we are getting the answer by the energy that's coming off. It's yeah, like I almost started crying. Like it's just that beautiful of a moment that you expressed just so that was really great.
Thank you for that.
Oh, we are it's winding down here.
All right.
I am I love how you talk about this journey. I really do. I get it, like I feel emotional thinking about it. It's just such a beautiful process, and you have given me a really great window into it. So I'm really grateful for that. It's such a beautiful gift.
Thank you. I feel the same. I feel so grateful to be able to share it. And to do it in a way that feels present and slow. It's been really nurturing to my nervous system, and the truth of where I'm at and how I am able to access my truth and my experience and share it in a full way. Yeah, I'm really stoked on that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Does anything else feel alive in you regarding this journey that you are on, this experience of motherhood, that you'd like to share with us or me before we sign off?
Wow. There's like parts of me that have like so much more that I want to say. And I find it challenging to pinpoint one piece that feels like most.
Well, if it's something that you'd be interested in talking more about, I'm open to us doing at some day in the future another journey of like more about motherhood from like, because we only really got to the birth. I mean, we got a little bit of like co-regulation and that stuff, but like there's so much more. There's 10 months of stuff that have happened since conception and birth.
I love actually that you just brought that up. One, absolutely yes, I would love to. And then two, I think now after you shared that, the thing that wants to be shared is when I found out that I needed to have a C-section. And I'll make it as short as possible, but because I know we're winding down, but
I would okay, you feel free to make it as short as possible, but
okay.
Like you don't have to.
Okay, thank you. that was such a, it felt like such an important piece of my birth story. Because, I mean, I was like, had the birthing tub in my house. That was like something I really wanted to go through the birth portal, the natural birth portal. I was scared, and I was also like, this is what I want. And Lotus turned. She flipped into breech, and not just like, she was like transverse, so like kind of sideways, and was kind of fluctuating back and forth. And I went through so many emotions within that experience. I had to really look at all of my options. And when it got to the place where it was like, what, my safest option is a planned C-section at this point, like, whoa, because of the medical system and all the things that are intertwined in that. And I had to grieve that, what I wanted. I had to grieve what I wanted. I had to feel the anger in my system. I felt angry at Lotus for turning, and that was such an uncomfortable feeling. I'm like angry at my unborn child, you know, and I had a lot of judgments actually on C-sections, and also like on myself, like, oh, I must have done something wrong to have this as my experience. And ultimately I was able to get to a place where I got the opportunity to hold all of these different parts of myself with more understanding, more love, more acceptance. And it also allowed me to have more acceptance, more love, and more understanding for other experiences, other women. And yeah, and there are still moments where I'm like, could I have done something different? Was there something that I did or didn't do? And I keep getting a no. I keep getting a like, no, you literally did everything you could. I tried to turn her manually. I did a bunch of emotional inner work to see why potentially she had turned away from coming into life, away from life, right? Why did she turn away from life? What did I have to do with that, you know? And I actually had a couple downloads, like during my pregnancy. I had this fear of dying, and I was like, well, maybe that's like some past life stuff. And then there was another person really close to me who also had like a vision of like that timeline happening. And you know, and I am grateful that we have this option, with where we're at right now in consciousness, in our reality. And I have to say that, like, even a cesarean section baby can be regulated and can have secure attachment with the ways we are with our babies during, after, and continuously. And I think that that's like something really important for mothers that have any types of worries around that kind of thing. It's like, it's really about making repair. It's about contacting your child's needs and giving it to them as soon as possible. It's like those things and are so vital. And it's like more important than like I had a natural birth, or like that thing, Okay.
I'm glad that space made itself for that. Thank you for adding that on and sharing that. Yeah.
Awesome.
This was lovely. I really would be totally open to another one talking about this. I'm so into I never had a real desire to have my own kid, but I'm into the parent-child relationship and how it can be one of love and acceptance and understanding and repair. So I really like hearing about it. I just really like hearing about it from people who are in the actual journey.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I am. I feel really excited about having the opportunity to share more and to, remember more about it. Being able to like share more also helps me remember, and it feels like a part of my service on some level of being able to share my journey.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay. And to all of you out there, I invite you to make a little room for healing in your life, and we'll see you next time.